Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Ruby Life Pools. I want to be forward with you guys. I did a no cooldown Tyrannical. Not last week, but a few weeks ago. And I was like, I should still have footage of that. It was a pretty high level key. I think it would have been good to show people how hard that dungeon is and like kind of how I handle it as preservation. I don't know where the footage went. I checked all my drives. I swear to God, I thought I saved it. I didn't get it. I'm so sorry. So next Tyrannical week, I'm going to try to pump some no cood so I can get you guys that, because that's like the most requested dungeon I've gotten. That and a few Halls of Valor. So I'll try to target those dungeons this week, maybe get something going for you guys. If I get into like a 20 fortified, the boss fight's still going to be pretty challenging, so maybe I'll use that footage. But you might be going, what are you playing? Disc Priest. Yeah, if you saw the thumbnail and all that, I've been on a little bit of a Disc Priest kick. I want to have an alt. I always like playing other healing classes to get better at different healing skills. And Discipline Priest on a class fantasy level is sick. The idea of walking between like Holy and Shadow and using shields and using damage to heal are all these really cool concepts to me that just tickle that fantasy whatever that I have inside me that I really like. And it's cool. It's awesome. I really like the way it feels in Dragonflight. Even before the buffs, I loved the changes from Shadowlands. It just felt a lot better, and now it feels incredible with the buffs. So quick little rundown for those of you who are new, or if like, say you're a classic player and you're coming back to retail and you have no idea what Disc does anymore. This healer uses shields and various small heals to deliver Atonement. Atonement allows them to do, I want to say on a base level, 50% of their damage gets converted into healing to all targets with Atonement. That damage goes up with mastery, but it also goes up with increasing your damage. So if you get a bunch of haste in verse or crit or whatever stat weights you prefer, you'll end up healing more as well. And it's also shockingly the only way to heal, and you're going to see me panicking here a little bit. You have a very nice heal with Power Word Radiance, but it applies a short effect Atonement on everyone. So you actually use it to start doing an AoE heal on everyone, and it does a nice little chunk of healing itself. It's really cool, but this is my first dungeon fortified where I felt like the pulls got people to low health. Maybe it was the gear score, maybe people were standing in bad. It is definitely both column A and column B, but this dungeon really allowed me to realize, like, okay, how do you ramp? Where does my stuff go? I made a few talent adjustments after this. I looked at a couple of top player talent pages, copied them blindly, ran them for a little while to figure out how it felt, and then I've made some adjustments based on pugging. Because again, top players typically playing with a good squad, typically building around certain content. I build around playing with pugs, so it's a little different. So I've grabbed some things like my Power Word Shield reflects damage, and I've been trying Solace. I think that's the name of the word. It's another damage move that gives you some of your mana back. It's stronger than Smite, so you'd want to use it before you Smite. It's fun, but it's another button on this bar, and I'm already kind of jam-packed. So I figure, you know what, maybe I don't worry about that so much. There's another talent that makes it so when your shield pops, you get some of your mana back. And I figured that one might be a little more useful while I'm learning. But there's also a few like Purge the Wicked, your damage over time. Every tick it does increases the next flash heal. And flash heal eventually becomes instant cast by chance by using certain damaging spells and mostly your heals. And so that means my flash heal, which is kind of an emergency single target heal, becomes stronger. And so if I've already used Power Word Life and I need to heal someone again, I still have this really fat button around. Of course, is it better than an optimal build for a 20? No, probably not, but something I really appreciate about World of Warcraft's design is that you can talent classes differently while you're learning to help deal with maybe some of your struggles with the class, and then later you can go to something a bit more refined and optimized. So like ramping on this class is challenging, and I'm still sort of figuring it out in this dungeon. Like I know how it works, but like where does it actually go? Ramping is a challenge because you have to do it before mechanics start, right? So Schism is a move that we throw that makes the opponent take more damage from us. Okay, cool. More magic damage taken. We love that. But then, so that's going to increase your healing output. Shadow Covenant makes your shadow spells do more damage, and you have a passive in your talent tree that makes Atonement do more healing when activated with a shadow spell. So you Shadow Covenant, your Penance and your Star turn into, and Halo if you run that instead, all turn into shadow spells. And now like things like your Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death hit much harder and do more healing. So what's the order of operations? Well, my brain goes, okay, well, I want to get Atonement on everyone so I can heal them. Okay, but Power Word Radiance, while being a good heal, applies a short duration Atonement. So I don't want to use that first because I'm going to lose uptime on Atonement. Okay, so maybe I open with Shadow Covenant and then I go into Schism. Okay, great. You're losing some time on Shadow Covenant, but Schism hits harder. And then, which is nice. Oh, but I need more uptime with healing and whatnot. So maybe I want Shadow Covenant to run longer so I can get more out of something like Mindbender. Okay, well, Schism does just apply a debuff, so maybe we Schism before we Shadow Covenant. Okay, so then you're Schism, Shadow Covenant, and then what, Mindbender? Okay, yeah, sure, but Mindbender is going to be an instant cast and give you a GCD lockout. So if you're trying to heal, I need to be like, what, 3.5, 4 global cooldowns before the boss? And then I want to Schism right before the boss's damage phase. So maybe I Mindbender, then I Schism, then I start pumping shadow spells into the enemy, but I have to get Radiance out. So you do all of this, you Schism, you Power Word Radiance, and you pump. And it's so... juggling that in my head is so hard. And if I got it wrong, a Disc Priest main in the comment section can tell me, oh, by the way, it might make your life easier to do it like this. But goodness, it's challenging. But it's so rewarding when you get it. Again, this footage is not like the best Disc Priest play in the world, obviously. This is me learning it. Yeah, look at me and my dumbass. I didn't stand behind the tank, so all the whelps came after me. But I had a friend, shout out to my buddy Gloop, taught me a lot about healing when I was first learning how to play the game. And he has this comment that he makes about Disc Priest that I, to this day, agree with. Discipline Priest is very much the professional healing class. This is probably the worst pug class in the game. I couldn't give myself a harder challenge, I don't think, than wanting to Disc Priest my way to hero. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll have fun and give that a try. Right now I'm only item level 360, so it's just a dream, but I get it because this class doesn't have a lot of ways to react. It doesn't have a lot of ways to heal everyone on reaction when something bad happens. One of your best reaction buttons is a gigantic barrier that goes on the ground, the big shield you can stand under. And that, like, that sort of is an emergency button, but it only reduces damage taken. It's not like it heals anyone. But when you nail it, right, when you get your atonements out, you get your ramp started correctly, you know, you use PI at the right time, your DPS pops off and you pop off. It's a great feeling. Like, it is an absolutely fantastic feeling. And so it feels very professional. It feels very clean. So I really like that example. And I can tell you right now, everyone just got blasted by that dragon breath. Good Lord. It's fun. God, it's fun. When the pieces fall together, it feels good. Preservation has a lot of that, like putting the pieces together, but Preservation has a bit more reaction going for it. It's not necessarily the greatest reaction, as they're big, heavy cooldowns that you have to spend to react, and your instant spot healing really comes in the way of your 4-piece or things like Verdant Embrace and Tip the Scales. So there's a bit of planning that's needed. You have to think a little ahead as Preservation, and it goes a long way. But on Discipline Priest, if you don't think ahead, it's way harder than it needs to be, like extremely harder. I'm curious though what other healing classes y'all would want to see out of me. It would be a lot of fun, I think, to try more classes, but I like to get really invested in a class and try to get pretty good at it. Right, I already done that with Mistweaver, and this expansion Mistweaver is just kind of better. There's a few new things I have to learn, but I feel like I already have a grasp on them, so I'm not super duper worried about it. But if I do Discipline Priest right now alongside Preservation, what would all of you want to see out of me afterwards? What healer would you want to check out? I'd like to know in the comment section, because it'd be a fun challenge. It'd be fun to learn something that you would all find interesting that I play. I don't ever plan on stopping Preservation. For anyone who's like worried, yes, I'm Bowser the Healer. Yes, I'm going to focus primarily on healing outside of an April Fool's video I already have planned. Realistically, I don't plan on leaving Preservation Evoker. Class Fantasy of a Dragon is a little too strong with me, so I don't think I'm going to be leaving that anytime soon. But I do want to know what other things I should explore and what you guys want to see. I haven't played Holy in high level content before. Holy Paladin, I should say. I don't want to play Holy Priest. Don't make me play Holy Priest. 2 flame dances just went off. Ooh, I remember telling Furbrew about that. Yeah, that was rough. I'm not sure if the CC was down or what, but I'm not tracking crowd control. I'm mostly just tracking defensives. But I've played Holy Paladin in challenging content, but nothing that was like brutally hard before. So maybe we give Holy Paladin a little more love. Please don't make me play Holy Priest. If you guys really want Holy Priest, I'll do it. But like the one time I tried that class, I was bored out of my mind. I have a Druid. I wouldn't mind leveling to learn Resto. Druid fascinates me in a lot of ways. I've never played Resto Shaman before. And what else have I not played? Is that all the healers? Yeah, that's all the healers. Okay. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. I think it'd be fun to fool around and try something new, especially towards the end of a season when, like, let's say I do get hero on priest and I get hero on, or I keep preservation hero. I'm not gonna lose it. I like, it'd be fun to like try another class before season 2 drops. So that is something that I'd be down to experiment with. This boss fight I do not handle perfectly. We do make it through, but on a higher level tyrannical key, this would have messed me up, but I did learn quite a bit. So that whole ramping business I talked about before, yeah, I want to save essentially Schism and Mindbender for Firestorm. So get Shadow Covenant up early, drop Mindbender on Blazehoof, and then prepare the Schism on Firestorm. Use that to ramp on my team to get them healed through stuff. Maybe put shield on the tank so they get a fresh atonement, and then I can use Shadow Word Death on the dying ad, even when it's in burnout, to do some incredible execute damage, which all goes through atonement. So I should, in theory, be able to use both my Radiance and my Shadow Fiend and my Schism on almost every single phase. But you might have noticed it's still not quite off cooldown here, so I might need to save like a cooldown for every in-between, or I need to just be better about healing everyone back up to max and then start blasting so I can get Shadow Fiend off cooldown a little bit faster. Maybe that's what's going on here, but that's sort of my plan going forward, because I think, what Schism's cooldown? I'm using it now, 24 seconds. I think Schism might always be up for ads, but I'm not sure about Mindbender if I can reduce its cooldown by that much. But Shadow Word Death thankfully is, so I use that to pretty decent effect here to get some big healing out, get a Radiance, and then yeah, like you do a pretty decent amount of damage using execute. You could never get away with this, by the way, in a higher level key or a tyrannical. I'd be dead. I just sort of hopped my way through the lava the best I could, but I knew the boss was low. We have to take a explosive there, but it's not the end of the world. The ramp on that boss fight does have me a little worried for say the future on harder keys, but I'm only item level 360. I might have already said that this run, so it's, you know, I'm over worrying about it. Maybe it'll just be easier as I have more damage. I do remember feeling that preservation, the more gear I got, the way easier it felt on certain key levels to do certain things. But we also have Vampiric Embrace, which I'm forgetting about. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown that, oh lord, I'm gonna try to get this right. I think it's 60 something % of your single target damage is, and maybe it's shadow damage only, I can't remember, is converted into healing, and it heals somebody. So when you combine that with Atonement, you can get a large amount of healing out with Vampiric Embrace. So maybe I'm using that as one of my in-between cooldowns. Oh, it's a 1:15, right? Oh, it's 1.3 seconds. I forgot. Okay. But between Power Infusion and Vampiric Embrace, and the barrier you can put down, I think I can ramp very efficiently through every single part of mob. And if the DPS damage is good, I can heal them all back up with Shadow Word Death on the dying target. However, you know, with a good group, I feel like that would be very doable and it would be very clean. I think in Pugs, I'm a little worried about relying on them to do enough damage that I get execute range for Shadow Word Death to heal them, but whatever gets it going. All right, welcome to the one pseudo wipe that we get, other than maybe the dragon earlier. We do make it through this pull okay, but it's a bit of a tragedy. The team doesn't do enough damage to specifically to Ravati. Is that how we're saying that? Sounds like a Wind Waker sounded name, but it's nobody ends up taking care of the shield. So I hear the shield go off, so I immediately start targeting, and I realize that like we don't have enough damage, so I just stop and throw down a barrier. And this is the scenario we get put in, and I probably should have done Radiance first there, but maybe I assumed everyone was going to die. But we end up not making it through the Storm Shield. The only one who survives is Furbrew, my homie. So it's a tragedy. You need some serious single target damage to get through that. Why didn't I Power Word Life myself? I had Power Word Life. Today I learned, right? Today I learned. A Desperate Prayer, this one? Do I make it? Please tell me I use Power Word Life. It's glowing. Bowser, please. No. No, not like this. Not like this. I was... No. I use it. I use it eventually for a big heal here, but then I'm just standing in the thing. I think I just gave in. I knew I was going to die to the next Storm Shield. I'm a little upset with myself though, because I would have made my life a lot easier and I could have set up better for another Storm Shield. Maybe I could have made it through another one. I then yell at everyone to do damage to the shield next time. Because whenever you're in lower keys and people mess up mechanics, I think it's good to just tell them like what they did wrong. There's always a polite way to do it or a straightforward way to do it that I think is the correct way to do it, right? If you're going to tell someone what they did wrong, just be like, hey, I need more damage on that shield. It's killing us. Or you guys need to kick this move. It is unhealable, right? Like, don't call someone out. Don't tell someone they're wrong or dumb. Just say the thing that's needed. And that typically gets me through the pull. Also, I've said it in every video I've done in the Ruby Life pulls, but please kill Kairaka. It's so much easier when we dumpster our damage into the dragon, because then you just fight Stormvein, who blows the wind and storm strikes every once in a while. If I recall though, the boss fight goes pretty okay. I'm not going to be a fan of this boss fight on higher keys if players don't move anywhere relevant to me, because I know that Radiance doesn't have the craziest range in the world. I can cast it on someone closer to the combat. So let's say I don't need Atonement, but everyone's in melee and I'm far from melee due to like, I don't know, like a flame puddle. I can cast Radiance on say like the tank, and then everyone around the tank gets Atonement. But that being said, it gets really difficult if people do range you. Because yeah, you can be ranged as Disc Priest, even with your kind of insane range. That's why when players are like, how do I deal with this with the limited range of Preservation Evoker? I'm like, man, I get ranged by people on 40-yard classes. I just tell them to move in. Because it's true. You do have to move in. So there it is, Ruby Life Pools. I normally say it would be easy, but it wasn't. It was actually extremely challenging. This dungeon's still hard. It's a no-brainer to me. My comment originally when I started here is this might be the hardest healing expansion. And then it got a lot easier for me as I learned the dungeons and got better at preservation. But I'm then going back to Disc Priest and I'm like, oh wait, no, these places are still tough. Like, you have to really know what you're doing. So a huge shout out to all you healers out there learning during this time period. It's difficult. It's going to make you a really good healer, and honestly, lower key levels will help you manage the difficulty just fine as you gear, but pushing gets challenging, so pat yourself on the back. This was a 7. I was sweating in a 7. I mean, granted, I'm item level 360, but it was fun. I definitely enjoyed myself, and I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for watching, and I have another pug healing guide, the damage video. I have some really interesting numbers on that one. I think you guys are going to enjoy it quite a bit. But until next time, I hope you all have a good one.